Well, it was just four guys standing around a couple barrels. Nothing weird about that. But no, this is a cool space, and the crew has put together a cool set. And what will be, that we're above the Four Hands Brewery right now, and this will be a new tasting room, an arcade, event space.
Yes, we're right over our existing tasting rooms. This will be a second story spillover for tasting room, private events, vintage arcade.
He's Kevin Limp, he's Steve Kreider, and this is Stuart Keating. All from different breweries. So Earthbound, Second Shift, Four Hands. We've been talking today. I think what kind of has kind of boggled my mind is you guys, just before we were getting out and going here, you're talking about collaborating. There's so much kind of commingling between you guys. It seems like you guys are friends, not competitors. Am I right about that?
That's the only reason to be in this business. Mm-hmm. Everybody hugs everybody. I help him, he helps me. Everybody's buddies.
Share secrets even and share recipes?
Oh, yeah. My open book. Yeah, everybody loves everybody.
Calls for, hey, we need some yeast. Can we borrow some yeast? Or we're building this malt bill right now and we're short 100 pounds of this malt. Can we borrow some of that? Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a pretty transparent industry.
How'd you guys get into this business? It's taking off. I want to talk about that, of what's going on citywide, maybe nationwide with craft brewing, but things have kind of been on what seems like a kind of a rocket ship trajectory for each of you. Stuart, what were you doing before you were making beer?
So before I was making beer, I was running an environmental nonprofit and doing some just kind of odd job sort of stuff.
How long ago?
I left that job at the end of 2013 to be a freelance attorney and game designer and open a brewery. So it's been a little over, we incorporated in February of 2014, opened in November of 2014.
And now how many barrels of beer are you making?
We produced 177 barrels last year. If we get our expansion open toward the end of this year, we should be able to knock out about 800 barrels this year. And yeah.
Same question. So because there are different, you all are in different stages, but you've been doing a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'm the longest one here, but I'm just above him and below him on barrels. We got open. I got license done in 2009. First batch went out in 10. Last year we did 754 barrels. This year we're looking at about 1,200 maybe. After we're moving, bought a new building, moving into the city.
Moving to the hill.
Yeah. Apparently the first brewery on the hill ever. Yeah.
What were you doing before you were brewing beer?
Millwright, maintenance machinist, welder, fabricator. Yeah, building and fixing things.
What were you doing?
So I was sales and marketing, craft beer and wine centric for about a decade beforehand.
So that's a pretty big leap to go from your basement or wherever it might have been to depending on it to put bread on the table. How did you make that decision and why?
It arises out of a love of chaos, along with, it was really kind of a bar bet. My friend Jeff, who's one of the co-owners of the brewery, moved up here in 2013. And we were talking one night, we'd been neighbors in college, and he was actually living in the apartment above mine. And he was like, I've got a little bit of money set aside. I don't like my day job. I'd like to go do something for myself. Do you have any ideas on starting a business? And I was like, well, I have this really crazy idea where we open the smallest possible brewery, and we do it with used equipment equipment we built, and we focus entirely on tap sales and on draft sales, and we can probably be cash flow positive and then figure out what we want to do with it. And so he put up about half of the money that I said it would take to do it, and we did it up with that much money. So we have no other outside investors.
So maybe it wasn't that crazy of an idea.
No, it was really crazy. We had to put in a lot of work, and we're fortunate that we have between the three owners, Rebecca, Jeff, and I, we represent a really wide variety of skill sets, and we were really able to kind of cobble the thing together.
So there must be something going on though, because people have responded to all your products. What do you think is happening? Why are people drinking up, for a lack of a better pun, craft beer right now?
I guess I always put it like, if you like going to McDonald's, McDonald's is good every now and again. Boy, is it nice to eat steak. Or go to Morton's or whatever. People are starting to say, I want more, I'll save the McDonald's for later. Or the smaller, non-flavorful, typical American beer. And people love, beer can have flavor. And it's opening, I think people are just getting their minds open to that. Like, beer can taste like this, it can taste like, it's more complex and more flavored than wine. My wife's a somm, and she says it.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot more complexities going on. There's 1,000 different more deeper details.
The nose is involved.
Oh yeah. You have to drink.
Don't drink it out of a can if you can help it because you want to get the nose into it.
Yep, I'll drink Stag out of a nice glass. Yeah, makes it better.
It's affordable luxury too.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, I mean, I guess there is, there's a time for a 30-pack, right? But I think that maybe, right. There's more of a time now where you're going to spend, that premium price for a really beautiful bottle of a 750 milliliter beer or a 6-pack, or it's much more creative. I always just say now that beer is not just beer anymore, and like Steve just alluded to, there are so many different characteristics in beer. You've got all the different grains, you've got all the different hops. The one thing that really surprised me when I first got into the industry was yeast, and what yeast can do to manipulate and really add to a beer is really shocking for somebody that is just getting into beer and wondering where that flavor is coming from. A lot of the time, it's that yeast strain. Barrel aging, stainless steel fermentation. There's just such a wide array of what we're able to do and put in a glass and a bottle.
I'm amazed too, especially just walking through Four Hands, how much of it is very hands-on. Very, we talked about a guy down there zesting limes. I mean, it's very kind of.
We don't push buttons.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's hands-on. I mean, I would say that we do it the hard way. We add lime or we add orange into a beer. We have a guy downstairs or a gal downstairs zesting limes and oranges. Now we're taking that zest and we're pressing it, and so we're just getting the essential oils. We're not just going out and buying essential oil. We did that and we went side by side, and we really realized that doing it the way that we're doing it is the best result.
Is how you make a luxury product, perhaps.
So that's how we'll spend the time and we'll spend the energy. And I joke that if we need to have somebody on staff all day zesting fruit in order to press that zest to put into our beer, that's what we'll do.
You're making a lot of beer though, so you started out, as I understand it, with about 4 tanks that could fit inside of one of your tanks now, and you now have 16 of those tanks. In how many years? How fast have things exploded for you here at Four Hands?
We started December of 2011. We started with 4 15-barrel fermenters. Today, and that would have been about 900 barrels capacity, 800 barrels capacity. Today we have 18,000 barrels of capacity. By September, we'll have about 32,000 barrels of capacity. At that point, we're landlocked. We've maximized and we have been as efficient as possible within these 4 walls. But we're not looking to go from 17, 18 to 32. We're not looking to enter more markets. We're looking to be an inch wide and a mile deep and just really organically grow and service our current customer.
We actually want to be a mile wide and an inch deep. We want to push out a huge variety of products. We're actually filing about 40 different labels for this year for production. So we're actually aiming to put in a whole bunch of tiny fermenters so that we can just keep everything full with different products.
Do you want to go beyond St. Louis? You're just moving in. You're just now moving into the city.
We've been selling in the whole state of Missouri since the beginning. We're in Nashville, Tennessee. We're in Tennessee now. Next market would be D.C., Chicago. I've been talking to people in California, which covers everything west of the Rockies, including Hawaii. So I have to go on business trips all the time to check out accounts.
Seems terrible.
To make sure the accounts are pouring fine in Kona or something sometimes.
It sounds as difficult as the work we are doing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So the same conversation could be had in Portland. You said Hawaii. They have their local beers in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. They have local beers in Colorado on the East Coast. Is this an industry that's just about saturated, or are there more up and coming beer brewers even here in St. Louis that are still coming online?
I don't think it's saturated yet. I think it'll be a few more.
I don't either.
I think it'll be 5 to 10 more years before, if it stays at this pace, the bigger guys are going to make it very tough to get shelf space and make it. Then it's going to shrink back to very, very local. Because when I started 5 or 6 years ago, whatever it was, people were calling me. It was no problem. I'd walk in. I had no idea what I was doing. I walk in the store, say, "Hey, my name's Steve Kreider. I got a brewery," and they say, "We'll take it." Really? All right, cool. That's not going to happen from now to the future. I think it's going to get difficult.
You have the sales background. What do you think? What's the future of craft beer?
I think that the future is really bright, and I don't think that it's saturated. I still think that there's plenty of opportunity. I also think it's in kind of the eyes of that brewery. You know, if we've got 4,100 breweries, 4,400 breweries maybe by the end of the year in the nation, if everybody's goal is to do 150 to 200,000 barrels, yeah, we're in big trouble.
Yeah.
But that's not what's going on. Yeah, you know, everybody's really trying to find their own niche, and I think that St. Louis is really a perfect example of that. If you take a look at the breweries in St. Louis, in the direction that everybody's kind of going and really trying to just do their best at. Yeah, everybody's doing a really good job of kind of filling out that full spectrum of flavor profile in the city. I would argue that you could find anything that you wanted in St. Louis, any style that you're interested in, you could find a really beautifully made example of that made in St. Louis.
Is there any sense of history in what you do? Do you guys ever think, or is there any pride in knowing our beer heritage here in St. Louis? So we talk about there were a lot of craft breweries prior to AB, and then AB really introduced beer drinking to Americans. I'm just curious if that ever enters your mind, or is that for somebody else for historians to care about?
I mean, I'm rehabbing a building that was a brewery from 1866 to 1902. So it's on my mind every day, mostly good, sometimes bad. But yeah, I mean, I think that we're all very conscious of the fact that St. Louis was America's great beer hub prior to Prohibition. And a lot of American beer culture was derived out of St. Louis. So I think that's something that we all pay at least a little attention to.
There's so much history. Yeah, it's so exciting to just be, you know, a little speck on the map of what has been done in this awesome city when it relates to beer. And I mean, for us to be a small part of that, we're thrilled.
Thank you, gentlemen. Stuart Keating from Earthbound, Steve Kreider from Second Shift, soon to open on the Hill.
Yep.
And Kevin Limp from Four Hands. Thank you all for sharing the insights. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.